Hey everybody, thank you for visiting the channel today. I've got a lot of things to talk about. It has been quite a while since I made my last video, something like November or December, I think. But anyway, it's been a while since I made my last video, and I figured I'd better get everything all caught up. So we're gonna go through a whole lot of things. Uh, Today I'm wearing my shirt that my wife bought me off of somewhere off the internet. It says, I'm not antisocial, I just rolled low on charisma. For those that don't know, that's like a D&D reference. So anyway, since I last made a video, a lot of things have been going on. Uh, I spent a long while doing a job that was taking everything I had, so I wasn't creating art for a few months. Mainly, I was going to work, sleeping, going to work late, sleeping, rinse and repeat. Um, but I finally got off of that job in June, and we've been training new drivers, and things are slowly getting better at work. Now it was right around I think March or yeah, I think it was around March, February or March this year. I went ahead. I finally got my 2020 art book finished, and so I've got those, which I'll show you right here. This is my 2020 art book. Oop, let me get it on camera. It's got a glossy cover, so you get that shine on there. Those are actually the teeth from one of my Inktober drawings. It's colored, but it's very dark on the cover. And the book is pretty large. It is, I think, 48 pages inside, um, covering all of the art from 2020, including like my paintings at the end of the year for the Christmas stuff. Um, and those are on Etsy right now for $20. So $20 shipping is included in that to all U.S. locations. So let's see. So I got that all put together, got that printed by Printivity, and they were really great. They sent me a note saying, your book's kind of big. Here's some issues you might have. And warned me about every little thing with the book, which was all fine. Well, I'll show you, for instance, how it doesn't sit flat. It kind of bows up right here. They actually sent me an email warning me that was going to happen. So Printivity is one of those companies that they look out for you. Once they've got your stuff, they will warn you about anything that might go wrong if you continue, and it's pretty cool. But that was not an issue, so I said go for it. In June of this year, I revamped my Patreon service. So people that were on my Patreon before then are now part of my founders tier, which is now locked. So whereas before my Patreon was only $3 to join, that tier is now locked. There are different tiers available that start at $5 and go up, including Art School, where I will work one-on-one with you through a combination of uh, online interactions such as Twitch, maybe Skype, or whatever messaging app we can use, Discord. All of my patronage tiers come with Discord access and special roles. So, like if you join at the patron tier, you get the role of patron on my Discord. And so every tier of my Patreon has has a special role assigned to it. Right around the time I was getting off the yard, I had a former coworker approach me about doing a piece, and this was like right after I did my Grogu drawing for my cousin's fiance, and worked out the price and everything, what size it was going to be, the materials, and I put it all together for him. And like I showed him updates along the way, and he's always, yeah, okay, that's cool, that's really awesome, I love it. And then at the end, he just kind of disappeared. And that is on sale on Etsy now, just in case I happen to find a buyer that is not him. Or maybe he'll go buy it there at some point in the future. So it was around that time I got back into doing the marker art because I liked the way the Grogu thing had come out. I really liked the way that I was making progress with with this guy's special drawing that I did for him. And so I decided that even though, that I wanted to do more marker art, and I realized that even though I am a huge D&D fan and I do like the fantasy art and all that stuff, I really don't do a whole lot of art that features Dungeons and Dragons characters or races and classes and stuff. So I went ahead and I put together two drawings of race and class combinations that are maybe a little bit uncommon. I also did not just race and class, but race, class, and alignment. So, for example, um, I did a Drow elf that was a paladin, and not just a paladin. She's a lawful good paladin, so like a follower of Palor, the sun god. Um, and that would be, of course, very unusual because most Drow, the dark elves, they live in the Underdark, and like according to the way what do you call it, Dungeons and Dragons lore is written, they're like almost always like chaotic evil. So definitely a character you should not see roaming around every day in the whole fantasy world thing. But the second one I did was a uh, chaotic neutral hill dwarf. And the reason for that being, when you think of, she was a ranger, a chaotic neutral hill dwarf ranger. So the the reasoning behind it being, dwarves are kind of small, they're usually known for mining stuff, and so having one that's a ranger seemed a little bit odd. Uh, but I went with it, and I liked how it turned out. So I went with sort of a Wild West kind of look for her. Leathers and cloth, a little bit of fur, and a little bit of Native American stuff in there too. But and then I gave her like a big, like a falcon or a hawk familiar or a companion, because I figured it would be kind of cool. Like she might not be able to travel that fast, but she might be able to get an idea of what's around her through communicating with her companion. Because I do believe rangers get perks like that. I've never actually played one, um, but I think that's a thing. Sometime around June to July, I finally reached 20,000 views on my DeviantArt page. And I've been on DeviantArt since probably 2008. I believe it says I've been on there for like 12 or 13 years, whatever it is. The point being, I finally got up to 20,000 views, and so I created a drawing just to commemorate that. And a lot of the people that I used to deal with most of the time on DeviantArt were really interested in seeing me do more stuff with my Battle Reaper character. So for the 20,000 views, like a little milestone drawing, I went ahead and created a Battle Reaper 20K drawing. And I'm going to put that up right here so you can see that. That was, it was literally supposed to be like a 2-hour drawing that I would do in pencil, and I ended up doing the value rendering and smudging and all that, and it probably took me closer to 12 hours to finish the drawing. But I do like it, and a few other people like it, and it's up on my DeviantArt, and it's on my Patreon, and I believe I made it accessible so that anyone who wanted it could actually go download the full-size version for free. And on my Patreon, you can actually get that there without having a Patreon account at all, without logging in, whatever. You go on there, you find the post, and you can just download the image. So that was my big news on DeviantArt, my 20,000 milestone. But something even bigger. All right, I've always been a fan of Frank Frazetta. I've always been kind of a fan of Simon Bisley. Love the Death Dealer. I have some of the Death Dealer comics. And back in the 90s, I used to get Wizard magazine, and the few that I can remember for sure had Simon Bisley's work on like Melting Pot, and one of the things that they had in there was an image of Simon Bisley's Death Dealer painting. Now, I'm pretty sure I tried copying the drawing at some point, or copying the painting as a pretty sure I tried to copy the drawing as a painting at some point, and it probably came out looking like crap. So back in February, I started working on a master study, and I actually just finished that not too long ago. I actually have it here behind me. I can pull it down. This is my copy of Simon Bisley's Death Dealer painting. It's on watercolor paper, and it's with acrylic paint. It's not exactly the same. I've changed a few things, either due to just the way that I paint, or um, due to the colors I had, but it's fairly close, and I really like how it turned out. I need to actually get a frame for it. This is 12 inches by 18 inches, and I'll put it up on screen without all the glare and everything, the scanned version of that. But yeah, so that was, I was really pleased with how that turned out. Um, Spam that all over social media and everything. And of course, the download is limited to my patrons, but my patrons can download a digital copy of the painting at full size, 300 pixels per inch resolution. That's the main perk of being one of my patrons, is that you get those kind of downloads. I also made wallpapers for the phone and for the desktop out of that, and I'm not going to touch it, but the painting right up there, that is my most recent Bob Ross attempt in oil paint, and it's still wet a week later. It's actually been slightly more than a week, and it's still wet. I went to pick it up the other day and had paint all across my my hand from the sides of it. So it might dry sometime in the future. Sooner would be better. I'd like to move it so I can do another one, because I've got all this oil paint and all this canvas, and I'm realizing I've got no place to store these things while they're wet. Alright, so it's August now, and I'm starting August off with 4 more character drawings that are similar to my Drow Paladin and my Hill Dwarf Ranger. I'm going to be doing, by request, a Goblin Wizard, a super buff Goblin Barbarian, which I haven't done yet. That should be really amusing. But I did, so far I've sketched out the Goblin Wizard, and I've sketched out the Gnome Barbarian. But I have a super buff Goblin Barbarian to do, and a Tiefling Paladin. And so I've decided I'm going to sketch all of these characters first. Once they're all sketched, then I'll go ahead and start doing inks, and then colors, and I'm planning on putting them all together into one composition for like the final piece, which I'll probably share across social media. But the rest of them, like the single characters, are only going to be available on my Patreon. So other things that I'm planning on getting to in the very near future include, I'm probably going to be doing more Bob Ross paintings. In fact, this one that I'm showing you in the background, and I've put it up on the screen as well, I did that with my wife. So we're actually working on oil painting together, and she did her own version, but that's going to be in another video where I'm going to see what I can do with the footage and try to put that all together so you can see us try to copy the Bob Ross as he goes through his. That'll be a video that's upcoming in the near future, probably in this month even. So we'll be doing more paintings. We've already been looking at other ones that we might want to kind of copy along with. Let's see. I'm really wanting to get around to doing some more animatics. I've got some Dungeons and Dragons type stories that I really want to do animatics for, but even better would be if I could like bite the bullet and do full-on animations. That's mainly just an issue of time, and of course more paintings, more general drawings, more reviews. The majority of the work done in this video was created with the Blick Studio Artist Brush Pens, or Blick Studio art markers. So I've gone ahead and decided, I was like, let's go ahead and do a review of the Blick Studio art markers because I'm using them so much. And the thing is, I'm only just now starting to really get good with them compared to like what I started with when I first got them and had no idea how to blend markers at all. So things are getting better there. I'm still painting. I do so many different things, and of course, the only thing keeping me from doing it all full time is the fact that I have to create my own funding by working a real job. All right, so let's talk about the Blick Studio artist markers. So the Blick Studio art markers are essentially similar to Copics. Okay, they have a chisel tip. We'll get that up there so you can see it. Nice little chisel tip. And they have a brush tip. That is actually a soft brush. If I can actually show you here. I'm trying to maneuver in front of the camera so if you can see how that flexes. But that is a brush. And now my finger is blue. Anyway, so the Blick Studio art markers, you can buy them individually or in groups, and I actually have, this is one of 4 trays, 4 trays that make up the 96 color set. So I have all 96 of them, and you can buy refills for them. So you can buy a vial. Let me actually show you one of them. There's a black one. I haven't even opened this one yet. But this big bottle here of ink is what you use to refill a specific marker. It's actually labeled on the top there. I don't know that you can actually read that. But anyway, this is number 20 black. And so when your black marker starts dying off, you open this thing up. It's got like a little, it's almost like an eyedropper type tip inside here. You drizzle that into your marker, usually by pulling the chisel nib off of it. And you drop about 20 drops in there, so you're good to go for a long while. Make it nice and juicy. Anyway, so the Blick markers, you can buy them individually. You can buy individual refills. I actually have, I've made it a point to buy a refill for every pen in the set so I could actually have them all. So I need to do a whole lot more marker art to use it all up. Speaking of which, I have new listings on my Etsy where I'll draw your character for you in pencil or ink and maybe color. And I've added a digital option to that one. Digital option, you get just the digital copy, and it's way cheaper than having me mail the original art to you, which seems to be a thing now. A lot of people like digital art commissions, but I mean, I'm personally, I like to have one I can hang on my wall, but that's me. I created a new color chart for my markers because I realized my old color chart was not working out that well. And the reason for that partly is that I had bought the set of markers before they had brush nibs and before they had refills. So I bought an older set that had a chiseled tip and a bullet tip, and they did not have refills for them at that time, and a lot of those colors were either wrong or they were empty, like not dry, but there was no color. And so I had to make a new color chart for all my new colors because my new colors actually have all the ink in them and they look great. But anyway, so I'll put that up on the screen, my new color chart. You know me, every time I do a review, I'm creating a color chart. I actually have 5 color charts on my wall right now. And let's see, so I believe I mentioned earlier that I'm still learning how to blend, how to get effects with these markers, like maybe desaturating colors and all of that. It's not quite the same as painting, where I know I can just lay down a really thin glaze of a paint and do whatever with it because marker is marker. It's done. But so I'm learning, figuring out what I'm doing with them, and I'd like to think that I'm getting better with every piece. Uh, you can judge for yourself as you look through the pieces I've been creating. Oh, let me tell you what else I'm using. So for the marker pieces, the character pieces, the Drow and the Dwarf, they are created. Well, even the Grogu also was created on Canson marker paper, which is very thin and crisp. It's kind of like tracing paper, but um, a little bit more opaque. But it works great for like when I put my drawing on the light table for inking. Uh, so I'm really liking it. I just wish it felt more durable. I mean, I haven't messed up a page yet, or tore it, or had it wrinkle on me, but it doesn't feel sturdy. You know, it's kind of thin and crisp, like I don't know, maybe like rice paper. I think I'm not sure, but anyway, the thing about this paper is that it's kind of like non-porous, so your ink doesn't really soak in. It kind of floats on the surface, and you can blend your colors, and it's really great as far as that goes. You got to be careful not to run your hand through it because it's kind of like having wet paint on the paper. As far as that goes, there's that color sitting there, and if you run your hand through it, you're going to smear it. I've also noticed that the paper will pick up fingerprints and stuff. So if you've got talcum powder handy, if you were using the Canson marker paper, you might want to dust that on your paper a little bit to help keep you from laying fingerprints on it. I actually tried it with cornstarch, and I'm not sure that that helped or not, but it did definitely leave a whole bunch of cornstarch powder everywhere. I've also gotten pretty good results using the markers on copy paper, like your typical, run it through your copy machine or your computer printer, which would be like 96 bright 20-pound paper. You can buy it at Walmart. Um, the uh, the thing about that paper is the markers will soak through, and um, so I'd have like one or two sheets underneath of it to help absorb that instead of putting it directly onto my drawing table, which gets dirty enough as it is. But yeah, you get actually some pretty decent effects even working just on the copy paper. Um, I've also used it on Strathmore bristle board, the smooth finish for comic book boards, and it works well. The ink really does soak into that board, so it's gonna suck the ink right out of your markers, really. But you still get pretty decent effects. It's got that good cardstock thickness to it, and feels sturdy, stable, like it might last for a while. And I don't mind using it. I mean, I've got all these refills, but I do think about the fact that I'm kind of wasting a whole lot of ink when I'm using it. If you've tried either Copics or just any other alcohol markers, maybe those Ohuhus or whatever they got, um, or the Touch Fives, and you've got a better surface that you like using, share that in the comment section. I'm always looking for the best stuff to use for like my different types of art. The reasons why I like these Blick Studio art markers is number one, their blendability. You can blend the colors together, you can layer them on top of each other to some extent to create other colors, and kind of create painter like effects without actually painting. Um, they are all numbered and named, and they have refills for all of them. So Blick has refills for all of the markers, which makes it handy. If you ever run out of color in one marker, you can order another big tube of ink for that one marker. And I don't know how many times you can fill a marker out of one of those tubes, but it looks like a lot. I've actually had a problem where I sometimes overfill my markers, and I haven't even finished one of these tubes yet. Let's see. One of the strongest points about this marker set is that it has a great range of grays. You've got warm grays that range in increments of 10% from 10% all the way to 90%. You've got the same range in cool grays, which are kind of bluish. So you've got 10% bluish gray, every 10% all the way up to 90% blue gray or cool gray. And then you've got six basic grays, which are probably like neutral grays. Um, so the basic gray set kind of jumps a little bit more in scale because there's not as many markers, but pretty good. You still have a black marker if you needed black for something. Got a good range of colors and everything. Um, and then lastly, the thing that was why I specifically bought these markers. The reason that I specifically bought these markers when I had already owned a set of the markers is that these ones have the brush tips. Um, so the old ones they don't even look like Copics. They're round, um, long markers. I think they look more maybe like Tombow. Okay. So yeah, so the old markers they look more like Tombow markers. They have like a chisel tip on the one end and a blunt uh, bullet tip on the other end. So circular and with little like I don't know grip nubs around them. But yeah, these ones they look pretty much like Copics, which is kind of what everybody's going to anymore. The sort of like I don't know rectangle polygon barrel thing. Um, let's see. So the weakest points of these markers are that sometimes, and it's not very common, but sometimes you'll get them and they're dried out, or almost dried out. Now, I say this because this is a thing with all markers, not just the Blick Studio markers. I actually have a set. Let me see if it's here where I can show you. Yeah, yeah. This set of Copics that I bought out of Michael's, I've never even used them. I used them one time to find out they were dry. Um, so, yeah. I could get refills for that, except they actually have colors in there that are racist colors now, so they've changed the names of them. Um, let's see. So there. Sometimes you might get a marker that's dried out, or maybe even has the wrong color in it. It can happen. Um, the numbered sequence of these markers makes like no sense whatsoever. It's not like your reds are all in a group or your greens are all in a group. The grays actually go pretty well for most part, but then once you get out of those grays, your numbers are just all over the place, which is one more reason why I made a color chart. And in making my second color chart, I tried to fix all the issues that I had in my first one. I still have a couple of issues in that color chart where colors are not really where I want them to be, but it's pretty close. Um, and the other weak thing I would say is that your colors are limited to 96 colors. Um, Not that that's really a problem for me. And I've told you in my other videos, I actually prefer a smaller range of colors than a larger one. Like, I prefer, say, like 24 colors to 72, just because I'll make 24 work. Where 96, now I'm picking and choosing between a whole lot of colors, and probably I have it I'm not going to ever use. So I like a smaller range of good colors as opposed to a huge range of stuff I'm just not going to need. So overall, I really like the Blick Studio art markers. I'm still working on developing my skills with them. I'm hoping that I'm able to create even better, more impressive pieces in the near future. Although, of course, for the most part, I'm creating comic style work with them. I would say they are definitely among the cheaper, more acceptable alternatives to Copics, especially given my experience with Copics, where, as I said, bought an entire flesh pack that was completely dried out right from the store. I've heard other good things about other markers, but I've never tried any of the other ones because the Blicks were the first one that I used, and they haven't really let me down yet. So, but if you want to share your thoughts on any of the other ones, like I think they're called Ohuhu or something like that, or the Touch Fives, or even Copics, tell me why Copics are better than these if they are. Um, but I know Copics are like numbered and they have a color code and everything that actually makes sense. But yeah, tell me like if they do a better job than what I'm doing with my markers here. You know, that's what I want to know. Anyway, I think that's about all I have for this video. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed checking out all my different pieces. I've got the Grogu drawing, the Willy Mammoth character, uh, the Dark Elf Paladin, the Hill Dwarf Ranger, and let's see, the Battle Reaper, the Bisley painting, and and the Bob Ross. Well, I showed you the Bob Ross, but you're gonna see more of that in the next video. All right. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the video. Um, Check out my Etsy store. Maybe get yourself some custom artwork or buy one of the pieces I've already got on there. Maybe even pick up your own copy of my 2020 art book. I'll probably be making another one for 2021 and putting that on there as well. But that'll be months from now. Yeah, so that's it. You know, so I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I do hope to see you in the next one, or in the comments section even. Take care! Ah! Alright.